It's episode 578 of the Locked On Texas Rangers podcast. On today's show, I'm breaking down the Rangers' best win of the season, an epic comeback on the West Coast last night against the Mariners, a little bit about their ace being hurt, and a little peek at the farm on Farm Friday. All that and more coming up on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On the Texas Rangers. I'm your host, Bryce Patrick, a crippling addict of Texas Rangers baseball since 2010. Host of the Locked On Texas Rangers podcast, where it's your team every day, including a day like yesterday where the Rangers, you'll be forgiven if you were watching the Mavericks do things in the playoffs, or if you were watching the Stars narrowly blow down their own playoff chances, not to watch a late game of the Texas Rangers baseball team, especially after they went down 5-0 in the bottom of the first inning. This is a wild game, and I'm going to get into it. First, thank you guys so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. Follow the show at Locked On Rangers, and subscribe on YouTube, where we are inching closer to 800 subscribers. Thanks to all of you who have already done that, and I appreciate every single one of you fine folks. But I don't appreciate you nearly as much as I appreciate guys like Nathaniel Lowe, Eli White, the bullpen. Yes, I appreciate the Rangers bullpen, and Adolis freaking Garcia. Let's get into this wild game, and a really bad game for Taylor Hearn, but also impressive. Yes, it was impressive because how he battled back. I know he went 3 innings. He gave up 5 earned runs, 2 home runs, and 4 walks, but he made it out of the first inning. In case you don't remember his first career start, it was at this very Safeco Field, and it was about the worst start. No, it was the worst start to a major league career I have ever seen with my own 2 eyes. He got 1 out, and he had a 180-something ERA. He also had an injury that he sustained that took him out for the entire rest of the season. So literally as bad as you could have it in Seattle is how bad it was. I believe that was the last time he started there. He might have pitched a little bit in the bullpen in there in 2020 or a little bit in 2021, but I'm pretty darn sure he didn't have a start there. Even if he did, that horrible first start is enough to trigger some deeply bad memories for him. The first inning started about as poorly as he could. He started it with a walk and then a home run, and then, all right, settle your nerves. It'll be fine. Just kind of, settle down. It'll be all right. Then he gives another walk and a 3-run home run to J.P. Crawford. His first of the year. Was an absolute no-doubter, a pitch that was left right over the heart of the plate. Then he walks Tom Murphy. He had a mound visit right before the J.P. Crawford home run. Obviously, that mound visit didn't work. He left the pitch, I believe it was a slider, might have been a changeup, something 84 miles an hour. Literally just dead center over the heart of the plate, and J.P. Crawford is on one to start the season. He is not going to miss that. He doesn't have a lot of power, but you give him a gift like that, then he is not going to refuse it. Tom Murphy walked right after that, and I was thinking, all right, well, it was nice seeing you in a starting role, Taylor Hearn. I don't know how long this will stick if you continue trends like this, but he gets pretty lucky in Abraham Toro grounding into a force out. Marcus Semien tossed the ball to Corey Seager and was able to get Tom Murphy out at second. It was challenged, and it ended up being upheld. I think they were challenging a double play, and then he struck out Julio Rodriguez, Julio Rodriguez has had a really bad start to the season for a guy who is an incredibly hyped prospect, and I still think will be a really, really good major league player for a long time. I'm kind of hoping, kind of not. I'm kind of hoping that he is not great now, and the Mariners trade him to some other team where the Rangers don't have to play him 19 times a year, and then he's an amazing player and has a great career and all that. But right now, it has not been a great start to the season. And then he also got Dylan Moore to pop out. All right, made it through the first inning. We survived. It'll be fine. Don't know if the Rangers offense is going to come back from that, but you got out of the first inning. Maybe you'll get 3 innings, and he did end up getting 3 innings. But the Rangers started to come back. That very next inning, Nathaniel Lowe had a single on the very first pitch off a left-handed hitter. He had a 3-hit game. Really great offensive day for Nathaniel Lowe. Then Andy Ibanez comes in and absolutely hits the crap out of a baseball from Marco Gonzalez the opposite way. Nearly hit a home run it was to the base of the fence the opposite way. Really, really well struck from him. Love seeing that. Love seeing a little more power from Andy Ibanez is one of the things that I have wanted him to do a little bit better, since he is a primarily offense-first guy. Even though his defense at third base has been really good, but he was DHing in this game. Eli White also doubled on a just absolutely scorching hit to left field. They're playing him to shift as a right-handed hitter, but he still hit it right past that third baseman and into left field. Gunned it all the way to second for a double. Marcus Semien wasn't able to bring him home, struck out swinging, but still, 2 runs on the board, 2-5. All right, well, it's not impossible. Let's see what we can do. And the Rangers pitching staff, from that point on, did not allow a single run until the 8th inning. It was a bit of a tricky one for Matt Bush, but the Rangers offense continued to poke and prod and jab and gently nudge and not so gently nudge until they were able to take a lead in the top of the 5th inning. A really great inning by the Rangers, really just great in general. Eli White was absolutely booking it to first base, and he forced a throwing error by J.P. Crawford and took advantage of that and made it all the way to second base on what ended up being a 2-base error. Marcus Semien flies out on a 0-2 count and advances the runner. Eli White goes to third. Corey Seager hits a ball to left field that scores Eli White pretty easily. Jesse Winker doesn't have a super great arm, so the Rangers took pretty good advantage of that in this game and scored a run, their first run. All right. Eli White making things happen. Really great game for him. Adolis Garcia is there. But first, Mitch Garver reaches on a fielding error by shortstop J.P. Crawford, who's been a really, really good defensive shortstop for the Mariners the last couple of years, but this was not his night. He had 2 errors in this inning, both of them on him. And then Adolis Garcia smacks the crap out of a double, his second of the season, out to left field. Again, really picking on Jesse Winker in this one, and was able to score Mitch Garver, who was off on the pitch on a 2-2 pitch, and was able to make it home from first base because, again, the left fielder does not have a very strong arm. Then you got Adolis Garcia sitting out there at second base. All right, things are looking good. They're only down 1 run. It's 4-5. Okay, maybe this Rangers team isn't giving up. All this happening, by the way, after the 4th inning. It was happening in the 5th inning. Innings which they haven't really scored very much for this season. After the 4th inning, for the most part, for this Rangers offense, it's been kind of kaput. But, especially when the bullpen gave up a lead. But this team, they were pissed. They were real pissed. And they had a point to prove. They were not happy with any part of how their season had gone so far. There's been a lot of disappointments, especially Jon Gray getting hurt. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more and a little bit more of this game. But first, this episode is brought to you by Built Bar. That's right, you guys know about Built Bar. My Built Bar ad read was so good this week that I convinced myself to buy some Built Bars, and I have been anxiously awaiting their arrival. Like, I really cannot wait. I got some of those salted caramel ones. They are absolutely delicious, and I freaking love them. They are so good. They are so good for you. You know, if you don't believe me, I'm spending my own money to taste how good Built Bars are. I would love them to send me more free ones, but I will also continue to buy them because they are so freaking good. They're covered in 100% chocolate. We've got so many different flavors. Most of them contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. You can replace your candy bars with these. I'm not even buying candy bars anymore. I'm just buying Built Bars. So if you want to check them out for yourself, go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. This episode is also brought to you by Blue Nile. It's everyday fine jewelry that you will buy for your mother or for your wife or for your girlfriend who you want to be your fiance. Blue Nile is a great company that has all kinds of everyday great jewelry. They've got cocktail rings, they've got tennis bracelets, they've got gold jewelry. You know, it's It's absolutely great stuff. Mother's Day is around the corner, so if you're one of those people who wants to buy your mother something really, really fancy that she will treasure forever, BlueNile.com is the place for you to go. It's Mother's Day. Give your mother something that she'll love and treasure forever with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Rangers listeners, that's right, you get a special offer. Get $50 off $500 spent. This is podcast exclusive, and it's only good through Mother's Day. Use code Locked On. That's code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, ships free and discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. So you can shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. Now, if you're looking for a second listen, go to the Locked On Now podcast. Recaps of MLB games with analysis from our local experts, taking fans through the season like no other network. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So, Jon Gray, 2 starts, 2 IL stints, and it's starting to feel a little like Corey Seager. I'm not saying that's actually what's happening. The Rangers didn't give up 102 mile per hour cutter throwing prospect to do it, who is now one of the best relievers in the game. Still mad about that. Still really mad about that, and will be for a long freaking time. But it's not a great start to Jon Gray's Texas Rangers career. He's thrown 2 starts. He has 2 IL stints for 2 different things. But there is a little bit of good news. He's going to be put on the 10-day IL today, either as I'm recording this or after I'm recording this. He has a sprained left MCL, and he will go on the IL for the 10-day stint. Now, the good news, he's only expected to miss those 10 days, and he won't require surgery or anything but rest. It happened when he was fielding a ball on the very first pitch. The very first pitch, he went to go field the ball and throw it to first base, and he felt something a little bit in his knee. Wasn't too bad. Pitched through it, woke up the next day feeling sore on his knee, got a scan that revealed this sprained MCL. And when I saw MCL knee injury, I was like, oh god, he's going to be out for the year, isn't it? It's going to be an awful mess, and it's going to be horrendous. No, he's just going to need some rest, no surgery, no nothing like that. Glenn Otto is going to be the one who is coming up to replace him. Now you may be thinking, well, AJ Alexy did a little bit better in his time here. Well, why wouldn't they go get him? Why wouldn't they go get one of the other guys in Round Rock who has pitched well, like, I don't know, like a Cole Winn or like a Jay Glatz or, well, that's pretty much it for starting pitchers who have done well in AAA. But Glenn Otto has done really well. He, again, in limited, I'm about to say minutes, in limited innings, 2 starts, he has a 0 ERA, tied with Matt Moore, Nick Snyder, third baseman Nick Tanalou, and also Jesus Tinoco with the 0 ERA to lead Round Rock. But Glenn Otto has done really well in his 7 innings and 2 starts, only allowed 2 hits, only 1 walk, and struck out 9. He has been excellent. His whip is 0.43. His batting average against 0.087. He's 26 years old. He's a lot more polished, has had more AAA innings than some of these other guys. Cole Winn has looked pretty great, but he also has 5 walks in 13 innings. He does have a 1.38 ERA and 8 strikeouts in 13 innings. But you don't want to call him up just right now, especially since it's only going to be basically 1 start. Glenn Otto comes up. He can do the 1 start. He's going to be starting today, Friday, against Oakland. And I believe it's going to be Spencer Howard coming off the IL on Sunday, as opposed to when they thought on either today or Saturday. So Glenn Otto is the right choice at this point. I'm going to get into more of who's doing well in Round Rock. But it's a little frustrating to see this keep happening. And the bullpen was amazing. And I need to talk about how great that bullpen was. But I also need to finish off talking about this rally. I left off the best part. Adolis Garcia on second base. Rangers down 1 run. Nick Solak comes up. Okay, here's Marco Gonzalez. You're supposed to crush lefties. You've done a pretty good job of that so far this year. Here you go. Let's see what you can do. First pitch. Boom! Home run. Rangers have the lead. 5-run deficit erased in the 5th freaking inning. Fantastic stuff. And the Rangers didn't stop there. Nathaniel Lowe, well, I mean, they did stop scoring there, but Nathaniel Lowe did have a 2-strike double, his 3rd of the season, and that chased Marco Gonzalez from the game. Brad Miller came in and did some Brad Miller things. If I were to tell you 2 weeks ago that at this point in the season, through 12 games, the Rangers home run leaders would be a 3-way tie between Nick Solak, Adolis Garcia, well, that's not that crazy, but also tied with Brad Miller and Jonah Heim, I don't think you would have believed me. And I don't think I would have believed me either. It's been kind of a wild start to the season, and I'm really glad that Nick Solak is starting to find himself as well. But the Rangers bullpen did give it up. It was a slim 1-run lead, and it was not a great outing for Matt Bush, one of his worst of the season, and it was not his day. This was a bad inning to start out with. He did get Jarrett Kelenic out on strikes, but walked Frazier, walked Ty France. This is a real walk-heavy team. This is a really, really disciplined Mariners lineup that walks at an extreme rate. The Rangers gave up 10 walks in this game, which is way too many. Way too many walks. Every single pitcher in this game for the Rangers, I believe, gave up at least 1 walk. And then the run that scored to tie the game was just a really weird and confusing play. And it was kind of a defensive miscue on multiple different levels. Eugenio Suarez singled up the middle to Adolis Garcia. It was played on 1 hop. Adolis Garcia it looked like he probably could have got the runner out at home plate, and it looked like he was trying to. Played the ball on 1 hop, makes the throw, and it gets attempted to be cut off by Corey Seager. He wasn't really doing a great job of cutting it off. I'm not sure if it was a cutoff throw. It wasn't a super great throw either by Adolis' standards. It had already bounced by the time it was getting to Corey Seager, or it was about to bounce, or maybe it just bounced because it hit Corey Seager's glove and went right off. Thankfully, there was someone right there to catch it so it didn't get away, but I think that he really could have nailed the runner at home plate. And I think there was a real miscommunication there on what the deal was, if it was supposed to be cut off. Because, I mean, normally from your center fielder, you might want to cut off that throw. But Adolis Garcia has one of the strongest arms in baseball. So I don't necessarily know that you would necessarily want to do that. I don't know. It was a weird, confusing play. It ended up scoring the run. And it was a tie game at that point, 6-6. But the Rangers come back in the 9th inning. They would not be denied. And it was a great inning, all done with 2 outs. This team has done a pretty good job of rallying with 2 outs, and nothing happened the first 2 outs. It was a fly out from Corey Seager to Julio Rodriguez. Mitch Garver struck out swinging, but it started with an Adolis Garcia full count walk. An Adolis Garcia full count walk started this rally to win the game, and he finished it in the 9th inning with his defense. He walked Cole Calhoun, smacked a holy crap out of a baseball down that right field line. The man was gunning it. He may look like a thumb, but he uses his thumbs to grab the baseball bat and hit the crap out of baseballs on a 2-2 count, lined it down the right field line, and Adolis Garcia was freaking motoring. He knew he had to get that run home, get the Rangers the lead, and that wasn't it. Nathaniel Lowe smacks a ball down the right field line as well to score. Cole Calhoun, who was gunning it for his life, showing those reels, showing me that I was wrong to criticize him for his stolen base attempt yesterday. Man's 34 years old, but he's spry as a 32-year-old. The man can still get it. My apologies, Cole Calhoun, for the unnecessary trash talk. But this game was not done yet. It was not done yet. The Rangers needed to bring on their closer to get out of that 8th inning. Just not a really shaky inning from Matt Bush. Thankfully, a nice play from the left fielder in Eli White, who was really everywhere today. Just absolutely everywhere in this one. Comes in, snags a ball right at the left field foul line with 2 runners on to help Matt Bush get a little out of trouble just a little bit. But in is their reliever, their closer, doing well, getting the strikeout to start off the inning, a great start to the inning. Then Julio Rodriguez, with this point, is 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. He is being played to go a little bit the other way. He has Adolis Garcia in medium-ish. He's shading a lot more towards right field. But Julio Rodriguez smacks it into about medium deep left field. And I'm thinking, oh, crap. Here we go again. The Rangers do have a lead, but are they going to squander it here with their freaking bullpen? No. Adolis Garcia reads it perfectly right off the bat. Sprints, full speed, and dives. Makes a beautiful leaping catch, seals it in his glove to absolutely rob Julio Rodriguez of what would surely be at least a double, if not a triple. The guy's got really good speed. And he just stands there at Adolis, who jumps up, shouts, pounds his chest, and provides some life, some love, some fun to a hopefully not bad Rangers team, as Julio Rodriguez looks just dumbstruck. Like, how on earth did you do that? I have been struggling, floundering all day at the plate. I got 4 strikeouts, and I hit the crap out of baseball, and Adolis Garcia does that? Oh, no. I got no chance today. Today is not my day. Adolis Garcia is the heartbeat of this team. He is the fun. He is the soul of this team. He has provided so much to this team this year and last year especially, when this team was horrendous, unwatchable, god-awful, miserable. Even when he was floundering, the guy gives this team life and fun, and that is something that the Rangers desperately need. I'm going to talk a little bit about the upcoming opponent this weekend in the A's, how the heck they are so high in the AL West standings, and the COVID outbreak that has absolutely decimated them, as well as a little bit of an update on the farm. But first, this episode is brought to you by BetOnline. You guys know about BetOnline. It's the best place to place all of your bets on Adolis Garcia full count walks. Actually, I don't know if they have lines for that, but it's the best place to make your bets on Adolis Garcia yelling loudly. I don't know if you can do that, but you could bet on other sports things. I mean, the Mavs had some stuff, and they tied up the series, I'm led to believe. I actually did watch that game. It was very fun. If you want to bet on the Mavericks or some other NBA playoffs or some baseball odds or the Stars, you want to bet against them, which might be the safe bet at this point, you can go to betonline.net. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now, let's look a little bit at this upcoming opponent this weekend. The Oakland A's, despite playing Toronto, despite playing the Rays, 2 of the best teams in baseball, they have a winning record. They are 8-6 at second place in the AL West, ahead of the Houston Astros. You just love to see it. You love to see it. And honestly, losing this series to Oakland just so that they stay ahead of Houston might be really funny. But I don't know if the Rangers are going to do that, because Oakland right now is decimated by COVID. Decimated. Jed Lowry, AJ Puck, Lou Trevino are the latest ones to be added to the COVID IL before their game in Baltimore. They've also got Chad Pinder, catcher Austin Allen, Steven Piscotty, Kirby Sneed, who is a reliever. Like, they've got a crap ton of players on the COVID IL right now. There's also an outbreak with Seattle that didn't affect too many other players, but got most of their coaching staff. Thankfully, the Rangers have not had that spread, had their one positive case in Dennis Santana spread. The entirety of their traveling party is fully vaccinated, so I'm sure that definitely helps keep that from spreading. So something to be aware of. But how has Oakland been winning so far? Well, I'll give you part of it. Part of it is that Frankie Montas probably should have been traded. If you're going to go full fire sale, Frankie Montas has got to be one of the first guys to go. Cole Irvin is still there. He hasn't had a great start to the season. He's not really part of why they're winning. But he should definitely be up there of the guys considered that you put on the trading block, as well as Paul Blackburn. But for the rest of this team, that's not been anything crazy. I mean, Sean Murphy's been doing really well offensively. He is a great offensive catcher. He is leading their team, at least as their regular listed starters. He's leading the team in OPS at 879. But he's the only of these guys in their top 9, their primary at each position. He's the only one with an OPS over 800. It's kind of been bits and pieces. Sheldon Noisy has done fairly well for them, an infielder for them, 12 games, 42 plate appearances, an OPS of 902. But everybody else has been just kind of like fine. Tony Kemp has been doing pretty well on base over 400, but not slugging the ball super well. Elvis Andrus has an OPS over 700, which for him is pretty good. He's got a home run this season. That's nice. That's fun. But other than that, like, it's really confounding. Their bullpen has been pretty solid. Their starting pitching has been pretty darn good. Paul Blackburn has done really well for them in his couple of starts. Dalton Jeffries has also done fairly well in his first couple of starts. Frankie Montas has just been okay. Like, he hasn't been anything crazy, but their bullpen has been really good. Danny Jimenez hasn't allowed a single run in 6 innings so far. Jacob Lemoyne done very well. Sam Mull. AJ Puck has been nails in 4 games, 5 1/3 innings pitched. I don't know why he's not starting. They also have longtime friend, former Ranger great Justin Grimm on this team. So they're a real mystery. I don't think this is going to hold up necessarily. I really do think Frankie Montas is going to be traded pretty quickly. Cole Irvin as well. Maybe anybody's fair game. Honestly, even Sean Murphy, who is their young catching star, well, I guess he's 27 years old, but he's got a lot of years of control left. He is really stinking good. They also just got a whole bunch of guys. They've got a couple of catching prospects that are, knocking on the door and going to be really stinking good someday. Austin Allen and Shea Langoliers as well. So, like, they could even trade their best position player in Sean Murphy and still reload it even further. And what they're doing is really frustrating of trying to leave Oakland, jacking up the prices, absolutely gutting payroll, even after winning seasons. It's very frustrating to see. But I do think they are probably going to stay in Oakland. But I also think if the Oakland A's move, the owner should be forced to sell the team. This was a deliberate and intensive move. He does not deserve to be there. He does not deserve to own an MLB franchise, especially one as storied and fun as the A's. People point to their attendance, but that's a product of raising the prices, making it super expensive to go to A's games. The Coliseum kind of sucks. It's fun. It's got the history, but it also kind of sucks. And the team's bad. The team keeps selling off players. I mean, they are winning games for now, which is fun. But they keep trading off stars. They keep doing this whole recycle, rebuild, even after years where they've won and could just very easily run it back and have a contending team to fight with the Astros and maybe have won the AL West. They didn't trade anybody away. They probably would have contended for the AL West. They did last year, but they decided not to do that, and that's the route they're going to go. But if you just treat fans so deliberately and obviously badly, don't point to the fans not showing up as the reason. It's the ownership's fault that this team is floundering and considering being moved. And if he does get his way, he should not get to continue to get his way with this baseball team. But let's take a quick look at the farm. Some guys who are doing well on the farm. It's Farm Friday. I already talked a little bit about Glenn Otto doing fairly well. Cole Winn has a 1.38 ERA in 13 innings so far. And yeah, you guessed it, Leody Taveras is still absolutely crushing it at the plate through 13 games and 57 plate appearances. He's got 3 home runs, a triple, a double, batting average of .421, on base of .441, slugging .702. This guy has been crushing it. Matt Carpenter is starting to figure it out a little bit. He's played in 9 games so far. He has 2 home runs, a triple, and 2 doubles. I'm kind of surprised that he got a triple at his age and how badly he has looked, or how slow he has looked, I should say. Davis Wenzel also crushing it. OPS of 895. You love to see that. He is leading the team, tied with Sam Huff with 3 home runs. Absolutely love to see it. I think he's going to have a long big league career. Also got a .364 on base percentage. Things that we absolutely love to see. Sam Huff hit another home run over 500 feet. That guy's still got 80 grade raw power, and he's still a legit catcher, and his on base is .320. That's a pretty good baseball player. That's a pretty good baseball player for sure right there. Josh Smith has a couple of home runs and an on base getting higher. Didn't have a great start to the season. It's at .305 right now. His slugging is just under 400, but he is definitely showing some improvements as well. In Double-A, I know I said it was a slow start to the season for Justin Harris, but really it was just like a slow 2 games, a bad 2-game stretch. He struck out twice in his first game and walked and struck out once in his second game. So he's been on base literally every single game outside of the opener. A 10-game on base streak, and he has a 9-game hitting streak. He has now pulled his numbers up to hitting over 300, on base at 340, slugging just under 400. He's got his first home run of the season on April 20th against Northwest Arkansas, and he's starting to look a little bit more like himself. I'm sure it took a little bit of adjusting to play left field. He's looked fine from the reports that I've gotten, which, fine is good enough. He's never going to be there for his defense. Justin Foscue came back. He's got 3 games under his belt. At this point, he's got 6 RBIs, 1 home run. I only note the 6 RBIs because, he's only been in 3 games. That's pretty impressive. And he has only got 1 strikeout. That's the thing that I'm watching for. Make sure his strikeout rate goes down. He's got 1 strikeout in 11 at-bats. And if he can show that power without sacrificing the on-base percentage and without selling out for it and striking out a whole bunch, that is something we would love to see. Ezekiel Duran doing pretty well on base at 347, got 4 walks to 8 strikeouts. Doesn't have a home run yet this year, but he will. He will at some point. Blaine Krim is reviving his season after a kind of slow start. Again, reviving his season. What are you talking about, Bryce? It's been a week. It's been 2 weeks now. Just chill out. I'm sorry. My baseball evaluation brain is a little off. All this nonsense and weird couple of seasons has kind of thrown it off. We look at Hickory. Still got Christian Ionoa absolutely crushing it in 10 games in OPS over 1,000. Evan Carter has 2 triples and 2 doubles, and just as many walks as strikeouts in high A while playing center field, and on base of 458, slugging 500. Yeah, that'll play. That'll freaking play. Trevor Halver also doing fairly well and on base of 472, even though he's got a batting average of 158. Love those early season weird splits. Does have more walks and strikeouts, 13 walks, 9 strikeouts. Does have his first home run of the season. Chris Cease also has a pair of home runs to lead that team. Pretty solid stuff from him. Owen White is going tonight, Friday, as you are listening to this, so maybe we'll get to see a little bit of him. He's got a 2.25 ERA in 8 innings. 2 starts so far, has struck out 11 batters, only walked 1, has allowed 2 runs, both of those on solo shots, but a really solid start to the season for him. Everybody else doing fine. Not a whole lot of great stuff there. Ricky Vanasco did bounce back after a rough first start. TK Roby kind of blew up after a pretty good first start, and Mason Englert mixed results in his first couple of starts. Let's take a look at the Down East Wood Ducks, who offensively, it's been real not great for them so far. Derwin Barreto has done fairly well at third base in 8 games. He has a pair of home runs and leads the team with a 917 OPS. Tucker Mitchell has an OPS of 785. It's fine. Not a whole lot notable going on right there. Not a whole lot of great offense for those players so far, especially the top prospects. In Maxwell Acosta has an OPS, I believe it's under 600, definitely under 700. Not great stuff from him so far. Emilio Teodo still hasn't allowed a single earned run. Same with Michael Brewer and Destin Dawson and Brandon Webb as well. Pretty solid stuff from them. Nothing too crazy from the starters. Josh Steffen has done pretty well. 2.0 ERA in 2 starts and 9 innings. Larson Kendrich has only gone 3 innings in both of his starts, but has a 150 ERA and 11 strikeouts in those 6 innings, which is fairly impressive. But the 5 walks in 6 innings, not ideal. Not really what you're looking for. But all in all, it's been a pretty solid start to the minor league season for the Texas Rangers. Jose Corniel, after a pretty good first start, came out of the pen in his second outing and got lit up just a little bit. 5 2/3 innings for him so far this year, and 5 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, and 3 walks, and 11 hits. Really did not do well in his last start out there, but pretty great stuff. I'm interested to see how much this Leote mashing is going to force the decision. I'd like to see a little bit more walks. He's got 2 walks to 13 strikeouts so far in 57 at-bats. Just like to see that walk rate go up a little bit, because I don't think he's going to hit 421 at the big league level. I don't even think he's going to hit 300. That would be really cool and make him a really, really stinking good player for the Texas Rangers for a long, long time. But it'll be interesting to see how quickly he forces that conversation. Eli White most definitely bought himself some time last night. Cole Calhoun, I think, would be the first casualty if Leote is called up in terms of his everyday plate appearances. Not that they would cut him straight up, but I think his everyday plate appearances would go down. He's continued to build off of what he did last night, but he is not shown a whole lot in the first couple of games. Starting to look like he is more of himself, which you love to see. Again, it's been like 11 games, so it's hard to make these big sweeping statements. And also for Leote, it's been 13 games, but he has been absolutely crushing it. One of the most important developments, if not the most important development on the farm, is Leote Taveras absolutely annihilating baseballs. Woody said that they sent him down because they wanted him to get confidence in his bat because of how horrendous his last season at the big league level was. Despite some pretty good numbers at AAA for the whole season, I think he had around 20 home runs and was hitting around 280. That's solid stuff at AAA. Definitely, you think, worthy of a promotion. But the start to the season and the end of the season for him at the big league level is one where they feel like they need a lot of confidence in his bat. If he's still hitting like this through, I don't know, the end of the month, then you really start to have to think about bringing him up and making him your everyday center fielder. You already know how amazing his defense is. You put Adolis Garcia's glove in right field, then you have one of the better defensive outfields in baseball. Even if Nick Solak and Brad Miller are spending a lot of time in left field and also that's okay because you've got two Gold Glovers in center and right that can cover a whole lot of ground. But I think it might even be like a month and a half that they had to see Leote just absolutely annihilating baseballs. But at some point, if he keeps this up, he's going to force that conversation and be a big leaguer again. And I cannot wait for that because the guy has insane potential. His ceiling is much higher if he is a competent if he's above average offensive player, then that guy might be an all-star for several years for this Texas Rangers squad. And by the way, he's still pretty young. I don't know why they're listing him as a left fielder because he is a center fielder. Also, by the way, Bubba Thompson come back down to earth a little bit. Still hitting .364 with a slugging percentage of .473. Would like to see a few more home runs for him. No walks and 17 strikeouts for him, so I don't think he's anywhere close to crushing it and to the point where he is getting to the major leagues. They really want to see that walk rate. The .365 batting average is great, but I don't think it's necessarily sustainable. Also, by the way, in case you forgot, Leote Taveras, he's still 23 years old. Still got a lot of baseball left in him in his career, and hopefully going to provide a lot of value and a lot of wins for this Texas Rangers club at the big league level over the course of his hopefully very long and storied Major League Baseball career. But that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Rangers. On Monday, I'll be back to recap what the heck happens in Oakland. Also, in case you forgot, tonight's game is on Apple TV Plus for free, so you can listen to my favorites in Katie Nolan and Hunter Pence, old friend, longtime Ranger great for one season, Hunter Pence, in the booth on Apple TV. It's going to be a lot of fun. The Rangers have some momentum. Can they build on it and crush this Oakland team that is absolutely decimated with COVID? I'm hoping so, but we'll see, and I'll be here on Monday to talk about what the heck happened. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. For your second listen, Locked On MLB is there for you. Paul Francis Sullivan, please call him Sully. He brings you his unique perspective on the majors, both past and present. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you guys so much for listening, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.